I made over 117,000 US dollars on Fiverr, and this is how you could potentially do it too. My name is JJ. I am a creative entrepreneur freelancer, and I have been freelancing and starting small businesses my entire life. And of course, when it comes to freelancing, Fiverr is definitely a hot topic that a lot of creative freelancers try their hands on. But how many of us actually succeed and make good money on Fiverr? You often see a lot of people online trying to teach you how to make easy money on Fiverr, but is it really that easy? In this video, I'm going to share my personal journey on Fiverr, how I sort of made it work, and what are the odds that you can actually succeed on Fiverr. For me personally, I have tried freelancing, starting small businesses on multiple platforms, and Fiverr is actually one of the avenues that I explored that became relatively successful and relatively sustainable for a little while until I decided to stop doing it. So I started Fiverr roughly mid-2020 at the height of COVID because I needed an additional income stream during lockdown to kind of replace some of the income streams that I've lost due to COVID and also my own personal health condition. So I needed something that is a bit more sustainable and not super taxing on me and my body. So it took me about 4 to 6 months to really figure out how Fiverr really works in terms of the algorithm, how gigs rank, and how clients interact with freelancers on Fiverr, and what is the trick to really making it work on Fiverr. So about 4 to 6 months in, I started to understand a little bit more and I started to make pretty consistent income on Fiverr. And my most active years on Fiverr were 2021 to 2022, and in 2023 I actually decided to slow down, and now in 2024 I have completely stopped taking on any gigs from Fiverr, which I will explain why later. So in the 2 years, about 24 months that I was the most active, I generated about 117,000 US dollars in total, which converts to about $5,000 to $7,000 average Singapore dollars every month, which is frankly pretty awesome for a side hustle, right? Because I have other work and business commitments, I try my best not to spend over 1 to 2 hours on my Fiverr work every day. So what I do is every day I will just wake up 1 to 2 hours earlier from the time that I need to actually wake up and work, and I will complete my Fiverr assignments and my Fiverr clients before I actually start my workday. So before I get into how you can do it as well, I'm just gonna debunk some myths on Fiverr and some of the very commonly shared ideologies and whether they actually work or not. So you see many creators on YouTube, TikTok telling you how to make easy money on Fiverr using ChatGPT, using Canva templates and AI and stuff like that, and that anybody can do it to make millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars on Fiverr. They are not exactly wrong, but it is really not that easy. Just think about it this way, right? If something is very easy to do and very easily replicated, everybody else can do the same thing as you. And if everybody else is doing the same thing as you, it becomes a price war of who is charging cheaper. And if you do not live in a developing country, your expenses are relatively high, then you are unable to play the price game. Therefore, all these videos telling you that you can work on Fiverr to get easy money, passive income, it's really not that easy. One of the things about creating services on Fiverr that is easily replicated is that a lot of us who live in countries that are relatively developed or more expensive, like in the US, in Singapore, in Canada, in Hong Kong, we cannot afford to charge $1 or $5 or even $15 for some of the services that we're providing because it takes time to do. $1 or $5 can hardly get us anything in more developed countries which are more expensive. And that is why a lot of the people who really succeed on Fiverr providing entry-level services are actually from developing countries where cost of living is a lot lower, and frankly because in developing countries competition is actually insane. Everybody is fighting to survive. So people in developing countries are really a lot more hungry, have a lot more tenacity, and they just don't need to charge that much to live a very comfortable life. So if you're providing entry-level services like them, like using ChatGPT to do copywriting or just using templates on Canva to deliver some social media posts, you are never going to beat them because they are faster, better, cheaper than you will ever be. So is it easy to make money on Fiverr? No, of course it's not easy. But is it possible to make a decent revenue and income on Fiverr if you have a very niche and specific skill set and bring value to the table? Yes, of course. So I'm going to share a little bit on my personal most successful gig on Fiverr and how you can also structure your own gig on Fiverr to be positioned to generate pretty decent income. Most people fail on Fiverr because what they are selling is very generic. They're providing a very easy entry-level service like designing social media posts, social media copywriting, basic video editing, and stuff like that. In order for you to really make it work on Fiverr, you have to understand what you are selling, like truly understand what exactly you are selling. Let me give you an example. So my most successful gig on Fiverr is actually designing and creating electronic press kits and online bios for people like musicians, comedians, hosts, creative people, small businesses, freelancers, and clients of this category. So on the surface, when you come onto my profile and you click on my gig, it seems like a very simple design gig. It's just a simple PDF document that I deliver or a website that I deliver, and it's extremely simple, extremely straightforward. It's basically even under the design category because that is the category that Fiverr just slotted me in, right? And how I think my gig became very popular on Fiverr is because even though on the surface, the service that I'm delivering is a design gig, but the underlying service that I'm providing is what really adds value to the client and what keeps them coming back and referring their friends and fellow entrepreneurs. If you hire a design professional to create a bio, company profile, or press kit for you, it will just be that, a very nicely designed document that is very aesthetic and it looks very nice. But the question is, does it work? Does it serve the purpose of the business, the personality, the musician, the influencer? Does it help them get more brand deals? Does it help them get more gigs and work? If a professional designer does that, it might or might not work because the goal is to create an aesthetic document. Whereas my gig, even though it is a design gig, is designed to serve the purpose of the client rather than make it look the most aesthetic. I am not a professional designer. Anything that I know about design, I learned on YouTube and maybe from my designer friends as well, giving me tips. But the value that I bring to the table is that I am also a business owner, a entrepreneur, a creator, as well as a musician, which most of my clientele, most of my clients are. So when I talk to them, I understand what they're looking for. I understand how to help them position their brand, their online persona, their profile in a way that can potentially get them more clients and more work rather than having the document look the best in terms of the aesthetics of it. So yes, my delivery, even though it's under the design category, might not be the most aesthetic, but based on my personal experience as a business owner, a freelancer, a creator, a musician, and somebody in the media industry, I kind of know what works for them. And how do I know that it works? Is because they tell me that it works, so I get feedback and I just improve from there, and I improve based on my own personal understanding of media and running small businesses as well. So communication is very tight because I speak their language, and the underlying value that I deliver is that I understand what they want and I deliver something that serves their purpose rather than something that is most aesthetic, which is what most designers would do because frankly that is their job, is to design something that is very nice rather than what could work for the business, right? So in a sense, even though my gig is under the design category, the true value that I'm providing is actually personal branding consultation that is just packaged and delivered in the form of a nicely designed PDF document. So if I were to do this exact same thing for say a niche that I don't understand, like software engineering, then I might not have been as successful because I don't understand it. I cannot speak their lingo, I cannot speak their language, and I cannot ensure that I deliver something that serves their needs and their purpose. So moving on to how you can also design a gig to ensure that it utilizes your skill set rather than something that is extremely generic. The first question you have to ask yourself is, what is your USP? What is your unique skill set that makes you stand out that not many people can replicate? What is your superpower? Picking a great niche is more important than picking something that is easy to do. Just to give you a very simple example, if you are a designer and you specialize in designing logos, most people will just stop it as there. You just put up your profile, say you're a logo designer, you design all sorts of logos from software companies to mechanical companies to music companies to arts companies and stuff like that. Logo designer, very generic. So you can say,
hey JJ, but logo design is already very specific. There are many designs like industrial design, designing of templates, pamphlets, brochures. I already zoom in to design logos. It's already very niche.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but that is still very general. What niche looks like is, for example, I specialize in designing logos specifically for podcasts. Now that is something that is more niche. Less people require it, but it is a lot more niche that you could potentially stand out if you do it well. And say maybe you're a podcaster yourself, you know what podcasters are looking for. Bam, that is the niche for you. Something along these lines. I'm not saying that that would definitely work, but it's the mindset, thinking along these lines, right? The next thing to try to learn how to figure out what gig to do and how you can make it niche and stuff like that is to actually use the Fiverr search bar and search for the niche that you want to do and see the search results, because the search results actually tell you what people are searching for on Fiverr. So you cannot pick a gig that is too niche that nobody needs, but you cannot pick a gig that is too popular as well that everybody is providing the same service. So somewhere in the lower middle part where there's enough demand but not enough people doing it, that would be your sweet spot. Which brings me on to the next thing, which is Fiverr SEO. So the way that you title your gig description, as well as your gig tags all matter as well. You need to be able to do research on the demand as well as the keywords that people are searching for on Fiverr and position your gig in a way that it becomes visible over time. Because even if your niche and your service is extremely good and provides great value, if people cannot find you due to poor keyword research and bad positioning, then it defeats the entire purpose as well. So do your keyword research on Fiverr. Maybe I'll do another video on keyword research on Fiverr soon, but you can easily find how to do keyword research on Fiverr, on Google or YouTube. And of course, just like a lot of YouTube videos as well, the thumbnails is extremely important. But unlike a lot of social media platforms, there is no one size fits all. The thumbnail requires a lot of A/B testing. Different categories, different types of services and clientele require different types of thumbnails to hook people in. Why the thumbnail is extremely important is because when you are being pitted amongst your competitors, when people search for your gig, the most attractive thumbnail usually gets the click through. So how you decide the thumbnail to use is to try multiple types of thumbnails over time. Go and assess what your competitors are using, what are the most successful thumbnails that people use, and try to see if you can make one that is unique for your own that generates the higher click-through rate. Next, important metrics on Fiverr. Just like how a social media strategist should understand the important metrics to look at, for example, engagement rate or the share count and stuff like that, so that we can continue to develop better strategies for our clients, Fiverr is similar. There are certain metrics that you have to look out for in order to position your gig better and understand how you can become successful on Fiverr. I'm going to share with you 4 of the most important metrics that I have figured out in my 2 to 4 years of hustling on Fiverr. Why all these metrics are important on Fiverr is because it determines your gig ranking and your profile ranking. These two things determine your visibility on Fiverr and how searchable you are. If you become very searchable, every time someone searches for that keyword, you are ranked at the top and you are sort of guaranteed consistent clients. So the first thing is response rate. You have to reply to every single inquiry. If you do not reply to any inquiries, your response rate score will drop and your gig ranking will drop. The second metric is response speed. Not just responding, but how fast you respond also affects your gig ranking as well as your profile ranking. And the profile ranking is actually hidden. You cannot see it, but you will roughly know when you see your gig rankings, right? So how fast you reply is extremely important. And the recommended reply is within 1 to 5 minutes, because if you take very long to reply and other people reply very quickly, then you tend to lose out to them, because most people will inquire multiple gigs on Fiverr, and that is the harsh reality. So if you are someone that really enjoys your work-life balance and you shut off after 6 p.m, then unfortunately your metric for response speed is going to be very low, which will affect your gig ranking. Next is delivery time. So when you are creating your gigs, you can set delivery times. It can be anything from 1 day to 3 days to 5 days to 1 week, but you have to adhere to your delivery time, which means that you cannot deliver the gig just before your deadline, because sometimes clients will ask for revisions, and if they ask for revisions and the deadline has passed, then naturally your gig ranking will drop as well. So you have to make an effort to deliver your first draft with a lot of buffer time before the deadline, so that if the client asks for revisions, you can make those revisions before your actual deadline. Because if you make those revisions and deliver the revisions after the deadline, even though the system will not mark you as late, the system will actually rank your gig down. And this has been verified by my personal Fiverr success manager. So when you get to a certain level on Fiverr, you actually get your own success manager to give you tips and help you grow on Fiverr for a small price. I cannot remember how much it is because I haven't really been doing it for a couple of months now, but yes, this has been verified. Last but not least, the fourth most important metric that I think you need to know is client reviews. So on Fiverr, there are actually two types of reviews: public ratings, which is usually 1 star to 5 star or 0 stars to 5 stars, which is on your public profile, and private ratings. Now, public ratings make an impact, yes, but the private ratings is the killer. So a lot of times, people might give you 5-star reviews, 4-star reviews on your profile, which is great, but the one that affects your profile and gig ranking the most is the private ratings, which is not sent to every single one of your clients. So once in a while, Fiverr actually picks some of your clients and send them a private email asking them to privately give feedback for your service. And this rating will not be made known to you, but it will do something to the back end to rank your gigs accordingly. A lot of times why this is difficult is because most people are actually polite. Maybe they are not very satisfied with your service, but because they don't want to seem like bad people, they will just give you that 5-star review, right? But when it is private, they know that you will not see it and it is completely anonymous. That is where they really give you some real feedback per se, right? And this feedback is not made known to you. So it's very tough because you cannot improve. The feedback is for Fiverr to rank your gigs. And a lot of times these private feedbacks have a very huge impact on your gig. So you could be a top performer on Fiverr and 2 people out of 1,000 people give you a very bad private feedback because they just didn't like your communication style or stuff like that. Your gig could immediately in seconds rank from number 1 to number 2,000 just because a private review is not ideal. So this is not easy because you really have to cater to your customers' every whim and desire to make sure that they like you and they like your communication, they like your delivery, they like everything about you, so that there is no reason for them to give you a bad private review. And you don't even know who they are, right? So yes, you can make pretty decent money on Fiverr. I know a lot of peers who have made $1 million or even $2 million per year on Fiverr, delivering very awesome and niche services. One of the reasons why I personally stopped is because I don't think the effort to reward ratio makes sense for me in this season in my life. So yes, I have been successfully generating $5,000 to $7,000 on Fiverr every month, just spending about 1 to 2 hours working on the services. But the killer for me is the anxiety that it creates, because you have to respond to everybody, even those very nasty people. You have to respond very quickly. Every time a message comes in, you are sort of prompted to respond very quickly. If not, my gig rankings will drop. And you have to communicate very well, explain very difficult concepts to people over Fiverr chat and things like that. If not, then they will be unhappy. They give you a bad private review, your gig rankings will drop. And my turning point of why I decided that, I'm gonna slow down on Fiverr, I don't want to play this game anymore, is when in late 2022, I was actually on my honeymoon in Switzerland, and I was still frantically working on my Fiverr gigs and frantically replying to messages because I didn't want my ranking that I've built and I've maintained on Fiverr for so long to suddenly drop just because I responded 1 minute too late, just because I did not deliver because I was on my honeymoon, which is not a very good way to live life, right? To like frantically just replying to people on Fiverr so that you can make people happy. And I decided that that was not what I wanted to do anymore, and that I could probably add value to other clients in other forms and generate pretty good income. So that was the reason why I stopped working on Fiverr, because I didn't think the effort to reward ratio makes sense, especially the anxiety that it caused. Knowing all these metrics affects my gig ranking, I didn't want to play this game anymore. The most annoying part is every time you do not perform well in the eyes of Fiverr, you do not reply fast enough, Fiverr sends you these warning messages that,
oh, you are not performing well, why? You better buck up, if not, your gig ranking is gonna drop.
Which causes even more anxiety. Heck, I mean, Fiverr has designed such an amazing system for them because it really pushes the freelancers on Fiverr to perform at their maximum potential, because if not, then you tend to lose out to other people, right? So like, Fiverr has made an amazing system, but I just no longer want to play this game. Has Fiverr helped me a lot, generated quite a bit of income for me to help me to live the life I want to live? Yes, definitely.
Fiverr was awesome.
And it could be awesome for you as well if you are in a different stage of your life. But for me, I just don't want to play this game anymore. So can you you make money on Fiverr? Yes. Should you try Fiverr? Definitely yes as well, depending on what season of your life you're in. But if you have something of value that you think can add value to other people, that is not super generic, and if you're going to hustle and give it a shot, Fiverr is definitely a good starting point to generate pretty decent income. I know a lot of my friends who actually share all the knowledge that I just shared with you with, who managed to generate pretty decent side hustle income, like $1,000, $2,000 on Fiverr, even $4,000 to $5,000 on Fiverr for about 1 hour of work every day. I think that's pretty decent and pretty good for side hustles. So if you try Fiverr, please let me know how it fares in the comments. I hope whatever I shared today helps you decide whether you want to embark on this Fiverr journey or not, the pros and the cons of being a freelancer on Fiverr. And I will continue making videos on businesses, freelancing, and how you can successfully generate multiple sources of income on my channel. So if you like those sort of thing, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace!